What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm going to be your host and producer this afternoon, as always, Logan Landers. And today, of course, as you know, it is that time of the week we're talking about the Atlanta Falcons and their weekly report. We're going to be recapping their game from Germany last week, Sunday in the morning, and looking ahead to their upcoming matchup against the Carolina Panthers. So before we get into it, if you like the video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. We go live each and every single week here on Facebook and also on YouTube. But also go download our podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. You can find that every single week as well. So let's get right into it. And another week, another Falcons loss in heartbreaking fashion. Once again, we know the Falcons lost against the Indianapolis Colts. Final score 31-25 in overtime in their Berlin, Germany game. They played that here locally. It was 9:30 in the morning for the Eastern time. Obviously, we know time zone, so players were a little messed up with that. But I mean, still, just you took one of the the best teams in the league, and you took them to the brink, but just were not able to finish it off. Looking at that game, like I say, you give up 31 points, but the defense they did well in, let's just say, 3 out of the 4 categories. The one that remains unchecked, and that is the Jonathan Taylor box, because, boy, he just ran and he kept running, big play after big play. He finished the day with 32 carries for 244 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, averaged 7.6 yards per carry, and as we know, had that kind of debilitating 83-yard rush in that game as well. Also for Indianapolis, they had some good plays from Tyler Warren, their rookie tight end. 8 grabs for 99 yards for him. Alec Pierce got into the action, 4 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown. And Daniel Jones, their quarterback, finished today completing 19 of 26 passes for 255 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Now, looking over at the Atlanta Falcons, what did their offense do before we ultimately talk more about the defense? Michael Penix Jr., 12 of 28 passing, 177, 1 touchdown, no INTs, sacked 3 times. Bijan Robinson, only 17 carries on the day for 84 yards, no touchdowns, average 4.9 yards per rush. Tyler Algier, 11 carries for 57, 5.2 average for him. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. For the receiving corps, if the familiar faces, Drake London, 6 grabs for 104 with 1 touchdown, and Kyle Pitts had 2 catches for 38 yards. Now for the defense. And like I said, just could not stop Jonathan Taylor. However, not all was bad for the Falcons defense. Yes, 31 points. You never want to give that up. But considering basically, 21 of those points basically came from Taylor, and of course the kicker, obviously. Look, the Falcons had 7 sacks on the day. And normally you get 5, anywhere from 5+ sacks. You're, in a way, you feel confident you're going to win, but that's just not the way we roll here in Atlanta. So 7 sacks on the day. A handful of guys got involved. Jalen Walker, of course, our great rookie who's been doing some tremendous work. Caden Ellis, Zach Harrison, Brandon Dorless, James Pierce Jr., the kind of wrecking crew that we have, for the D-line. And they did some good work. 5 passes defended, 1 interception as well. And that is credit to our safety, Jesse Bates III. Just a tough loss for Atlanta, and a game in which, boy, really would have raised the spirits for all parties involved. Just unfortunately was not the case. And diving into more of the team statistics and whatnot, the main issue with this club, and I'm going to specifically hone in on the defense, because I feel like, if you've watched the games, you can see the defense is playing, very well, and our defense is better than our offense is at this point in time. The key statistic here to watch for, ladies and gentlemen, going into this next game against the Carolina Panthers is 3rd down efficiency. Now, you may ask yourself, well, Logan, what was the Falcons' 3rd down efficiency against the Indianapolis Colts? And I say, well, thank you for that. And they went 0 of 8. The Falcons did not complete a 3rd down the entire day. 0 of 8. Now, granted, the Colts, not much better, 2 of 12. But you can really see how rough the offense is for Atlanta. Obviously, the running game, they just outpaced us in every way, shape, and form. But it's Jonathan Taylor, uh, top 5 running back in the league, and he proved it once again. Atlanta, like I said, great for the sacks. He had 7 on the day compared to only 3 for Indy, so O-line still holding up. I feel like also, too, main factor why the Colts won this ball game, time of possession, TOP, 40 minutes, 20 seconds for Indy compared to only 26 minutes and 9 seconds for the Falcons. And as we know, if you can't complete a third down, you're not going to have a whole lot of success and a whole lot of time of possession. So just some factors to watch out for in their upcoming matchup against the Carolina Panthers as we turn our attention to that. And if you're Zach Robinson, if you're Raheem Morris, you're lucky the team picked you up on the plane back home to the States. There's a lot of people who've been asking for both of them to be on the chopping block. And now with the Falcons losing 4 consecutive ball games, we might be creeping closer and closer to that becoming a reality. It seems like at this point at the end of the season. Now, turning our attention ahead to the Carolina Panthers, as we know, these two teams played earlier in the season. And for Atlanta, definitely a game that you'd like to forget. Final score in their initial matchup this year was in Carolina. This one's going to be in Atlanta, so that is important to note. However, the Falcons offense did not score a single point. They didn't get a safety. They didn't get a field goal. Nothing. No touchdowns. No pick sixes. Nada. Zero. Goose egg. Nope. Nothing. And you gave up 30 to the Panthers, who at the time, I will say, a lot of people still felt were lesser than the Atlanta Falcons. And now as we turn our attention to this game, for me, and I feel like a lot of Falcons fans out there, is do or die for this game. If you win it, week 11, you break a 4-game losing streak, you improve to 4-6, and you beat a division opponent who is ahead of you, mind you. The Panthers are 5-5. That'll still put you a little bit below in terms of overall rankings. However, you got to start somewhere. And what better than beating, the team right above you in the standings to help gain some momentum. Looking at this matchup, Carolina, they are a team that has some good weapons. However, looking at this matchup, when you see they are coming off of a tough loss to the New Orleans Saints, where they only put up 7 points. They've lost 2 of their last 3. They sandwiched a win between Green Bay in their blowout loss, of course, to Buffalo. But it's the familiar faces for Carolina, as we know. It's gonna be Rico Dowdle, who is having a better year than Bijan Robinson, at least on the running game. You got Tedero McMillan, former Arizona grad, doing good work, and Bryce Young, still holding down the fort there in Carolina. He's got 1,500 plus passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 picks. So he is susceptible, of course, to toss in an interception here and there. When you look at this team, it's tough to pick the Falcons to win at this point, considering for the past 4 weeks they haven't won, and it's tough to hope they're going to win this against this team, especially when we know what happened earlier in the year when they got blown out. But if you're a Falcons fan, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments and how this game is going to go. I feel like for the Falcons, if you don't win this game, time to start looking at other options. You're going to be lucky at this point if you go on a hot streak to even make it to the playoffs. We know they don't have a first-round draft pick, so that's been a lot more prevalent in talks after the games I've seen. And when they lose, I hear of, we need to fire a head coach, we need to fire our offensive coordinator, and we still don't have a first-round pick for 2026 because, as we know, that's when they used this past year to go with 2 defensive players in the first round with Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. For Atlanta, you got to win this game. If you don't win this game, the season's cooked, I feel. In my humble opinion, there's no coming back from this one if you lose. So it's all out for the Falcons this upcoming week. Drop a comment down below what you think the final score will be. Want to hear it in our section there and talk back and forth with you. So until next week here, hopefully we're in a better mood for the Atlanta Falcons weekly report. But that has been the recap of their game against the Indianapolis Colts and the preview this upcoming weekend. 1 o'clock kick at Mercedes-Benz against the Carolina Panthers. So until next time, everyone, go out there, enjoy the rest of your day. Watch some Falcons football this weekend. Room on. They need all the help they can get. And we'll talk to you again next week on the Atlanta Falcons Weekly.